New York Times investigation reveals Facebook allowed more than 150 companies to access mine and your data, including private messages. The access essentially overrode Facebook's usual privacy rules. Big tech companies we're talking about here. Netflix and Spotify, they were, according to the Times, able to read messages that you thought were just private.
Basically, they lied to you. They said they were private. They said they were covered by the privacy policy. In fact, not. New York Times Deputy Investigations Editor Gabriel Dance helped break this story. He joins us now. You know, Gabriel, the thing that stood out to me and to Poppy, frankly, was this idea of allowing these companies to read your private messages. I mean, what's the justification for that, and is there any precedent for this?
Well, it's a great question, and the fact is that Facebook allowed these companies this access for integrations that Spotify and Netflix were using to send recommendations, according to those companies. Now, that might be the case, but what actually we see in the documents is that Facebook gave them access to do a lot more than just that. So if they wanted to just send things through Facebook Messenger, there were ways they could do that without having this kind of very deep, invasive access.
There are questions, Gabe, and you bring them up in your reporting, which is incredibly important, so kudos to you and the team. It's Netflix, it's Spotify, it's Amazon being permitted to see this stuff, Yahoo, etc. That in doing this, Facebook may have broken the law. They may have broken a 2007 agreement with the FTC. Did they, and what's Facebook saying?
Well, it was, I believe the consent agreement was entered into in 2011. But it's a great question as to whether or not they have violated that consent agreement. Facebook is seemingly expanding this definition they have of what they call service providers. And that's very important to their argument, and that's because the FTC consent agreement allows them to share data with service providers. Now, to many people, service providers reads as things like your internet service provider or cellular networks, so that when you actually go to Facebook.com or look at it on your phone, you're able to see Facebook. But Facebook has broadened that definition to include, first of all, device makers, including Chinese device makers like Huawei, Apple, and some others. But now they're starting to say, well, yeah, Yahoo, who's never made devices, they're also a service provider. And people like Warner Brothers are a service provider, and some of these other companies are service providers. So it's their definition versus what the FTC is willing to enforce.
Facebook's response to all this?
Well, it is basically along the lines of what I was just saying, which is this is all okay because essentially these companies are operating as extensions of Facebook itself. And when they first told us that back in June, it was a real head-scratcher, this idea that somehow BlackBerry and HTC and others are extensions of Facebook, but that's the line they're taking.
Yeah.
That's not my understanding. I mean, just as a user, I didn't look at it that way. And
it's a great point. And just finally, before you go, in the statement that Facebook gave you guys, they said that they need, quote, clear policies and that they need to do better on this. They know that. They welcome, they say, government regulation. We know that they've gotten on board and are in support of the Honest Ads Act, right, put forward by Senator Amy Klobuchar, right, to display where ads come from for political things, etc. But that wouldn't affect this at all, right? I mean, have they really said, yes, we're on board with policies that would curb this kind of behavior?
They have not. This kind of behavior, these kind of practices by Facebook right now are fundamental to their company. So they're doing everything they can to explain why these are okay and not at all interested in making this kind of information unavailable. That said they are winding down, despite the fact that they say these partnerships are fine and okay, they're also winding them all down.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. I'd urge everyone to read your full report. Thanks, Gabriel, very much, and we'll be back
so much.
after this.